Hello, welcome everyone to today's webinar on Crystal Clear Foresight, turning trends into growth. We're so happy to have you join us today. I'm Emily, a senior innovation consultant here at ITONICS, and I'll be your host for today's session. We are an AI-powered innovation platform used by organizations worldwide to scan signals, identify opportunities, and manage everything from foresight to ideation to portfolio execution, all in one connected system. And today, we'll explore how the research and innovation team at a global technology consulting and digital solutions company, LTIMindtree, has leveraged this system to build a continuous foresight loop, turning trend intelligence into real business growth and client impact. To help share this success story, I'm very happy to introduce our guests who have led this transformation from the inside. We have with us today Sachin Jain and Bharat Trivedi. Sachin is a research leader at LTIMindtree who's been shaping the company's research and foresight capabilities for nearly a decade. So, Sachin, could you start us off by maybe briefly introducing LTIMindtree and your role in the research and innovation team?
Hi, Emily. Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting us. We are very excited to be here and are looking forward to the session. So, with it, LTIMindtree is, as you mentioned, is a global technology consulting and digital solutions company. We help enterprises accelerate innovation and transformation through cutting-edge technologies like AI, along with the deep domain expertise. In the research and the innovation team, I focus on driving strategic initiatives that explore emerging technologies, foster innovation culture, and translate ideas into impactful solutions for our clients. Our goal is to stay ahead of the curve and continuously push the boundaries of what's possible. So that's the quick brief, Emily. Thank you.
Thanks, Sachin. That's great. And we are also very fortunate to have with us Bharat, also a research leader at LTIMindtree, who is the expert in connecting emerging technologies to client opportunities. And Bharat, I see that you call yourself a tech evangelist. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. So, over the years, I have come to embrace the title of tech evangelist, which is not just a label, but it is a reflection of how I would approach technology and innovation. So, I've had quite a journey over the years that brought me into enterprise architecture. To me, being a technology evangelist means more than just staying ahead of trends. It's about inspiring others to see you, or it's about inspiring others to see the transformative potential of technology. You have to take forward your narrative, whether it is in the form of sessions, exploring frameworks, writing collaterals, even deep diving into business strategies. I thrive on connecting ideas, people, and possibilities. I believe uh, that nowadays we need to involve ourselves into a lot of storytelling, but storytelling with substance, which essentially would translate complex technology into relatable narratives, thereby sparking curiosity and driving action. So, my goal is to build bridges between architecture and aspiration, which will help teams not just adopt technology but also champion it. In fact, that's a very nuanced area that any enterprise architect actually cannot ignore. So when I say I'm a tech evangelist, it's because of my passion about making technology meaningful, accessible, and empowering for everyone I work with. So hope that answers your curiosity, Emily.
That's great. Thanks, Bharat. I love the piece about storytelling, and I think we'll dive into that a little bit deeper um, today. But before we jump into your own story, we'd like to do a quick poll to help get a sense of some of the things you, the audience, are navigating in your own foresight journey. So you'll see it appear on your screen now. Basically, what are the biggest challenges you face when trying to make foresight actionable in your organization? So there's a couple of multiple choice ones. You can select all the ones that resonate with you. And we'll keep this poll live for just a bit. But yeah, we like to start with a question like this because I think it gets right to the heart of the issue here, making foresight actionable, because it's easy and it's easier than ever today to scan signals, collect trends, spot emerging technologies, especially with AI assisting. That's actually the easy part, but then what? Right? So it's that so what question. How do you turn great foresight into an actionable decision? And that's why we're here today, to hear just how LTIMindtree is doing just that for their clients across industries using their innovation platform powered by ITONICS, which they have aptly named Crystal. If you've joined us here today, we probably don't need to convince you as to the value and importance of strategic foresight in terms of helping to stay ahead of the curve. But what do we mean when we say ahead of the curve? So there are, of course, a lot of different concepts we can use here. But what you see on the screen is a series of technology adoption curves or technology lifecycle curves. Now, in theory, companies could adapt their strategies according to these curves when understanding when to invest, when to enter new markets, how to close this gap that we often see between the curves, between disruption and displacement. The problem now is that these curves have become more unpredictable, and disruptive technologies don't necessarily follow these curves, and the time between them is also shrinking, meaning there is less time to respond or adapt. And that brings us to LTIMindtree at last. Their research and innovation team has taken this challenge head on, creating an always on foresight system in Crystal to continuously track what's changing so that they can help their clients act before the curve overtakes them. So, Bharat, if we can get started with you, could you describe more about LTIMindtree's mission of shaping the future rather than adapting to it? What does that mean for you and your team in practice?
So that's a very powerful framing, Emily. Uh, it deeply resonates with how our research team operates. So when LTIMindtree says that we architect change, it is not just about being ready for the next S curve or curve or J curve, whatever you're talking about, but it's actually about shaping it. Now, what it means for us in research is that we are not waiting for trends to mature before we act. We are actively scanning the horizon and experimenting with emerging paradigms. Nowadays, everyone is talking about AI. So I would want to talk about, those terminologies. So earlier it was AI, then it became generative AI. Now it is agentic AI, right? So we are constantly experimenting with emerging paradigms like agentic AI or post LLM architectures or probably new governance models. Now, these are examples that I'm calling out because, as I said, right, AI is the talk of the town today. But we are also building frameworks like the pre-due diligence model for the return on investments that you could probably quantify when you implement AI. Now, that's a very gray area, right? So, mostly we get into our due diligence or our application or a portfolio analysis kind of things. But there has to be a checklist even for that. There have to be a set of parameters that we have to frame even for that, right? So this pre-due diligence models for the emerging technologies help stakeholders make smarter decisions even before they deploy the technology or the business trends. So basically, in a sense, we are not just adapting to change, we are essentially designing the scaffolding that others will use to climb it. So we see ourselves as enablers, as blueprint makers, as hypothesis testers, and the early signal amplifiers. And that's what architecting change looks like in our world.
That's great. Thanks, Bharat. Um, Yeah, I think that gives us a great sense of the context. Now, maybe let's take a step back. Sachin, for you, you've been working in foresight with LTIMindtree since the beginning. And I understand before you had Crystal, you were running something called Tech Beacon as your internal foresight process. Can you take us through this? Like, where did you start to hit limitations with this first approach, and what was sort of the path to introducing Crystal?
Sure. So at LTIMindtree, Emily, our innovation agenda has evolved significantly. And the focus is shifted from transformative initiatives that leverages our strength in innovation, foresight, domain, and emerging technologies. Before Crystal, we had the classic model in terms of the tech beacon, as you mentioned, which was effective. However, with the scaling, it became time consuming and resource intensive. It's at times, it struggled to keep pace with growing demands for speed, repeatability, and synthesis of large volumes of data. The limitations became apparent as the need for real time insights and broader collaboration increased. Plus, the way the technologies are evolving at that speed to maintain and manage that became a challenge. So that's where when we collaborated with the ITONICS OS platform, which we call Crystal, and I'll come in the later stages and will also tell a small story in terms of why we named it as Crystal, is now institutionalized, and the foresight process is more a standard process which we follow, and pretty in the last few years it has given us some very good outcomes, and we are very happy to have the platform institutionalized and perform as part of the good practices which we have done. So it has facilitated some real time collaboration and ensured scalability and faster turnarounds in the foresight practices, which we were facing challenges before. So that's a quick summary, Emily, on in terms of what we were doing in the past.
Thanks, Sachin. And I also just want to share one additional thing to kind of highlight that when you talk about the ability to scale your foresight, some of these numbers are quite impressive. It gives sort of, yeah, it really shows how it like the introduction of Crystal has translated into some big results. So, I mean, in terms of scaling, since launching Crystal, you've tracked over 600 trends and technologies, engaged 13,000 users across your organization, and your radar reports have been downloaded more than 10,000 times, generating more than 1 million social impressions. And it's also this really important. It's supported direct engagements with our over 35 new clients and partners. So I think these numbers are really impressive. They tell a big story of the sort of scalability of your approach. But metrics like this only tell part of the story. And so I have a question to Bharat. So beyond these numbers, what kinds of behavioral or cultural shifts have you seen inside LTI Mindtree that tell you that Crystal and foresight has really become a part of how people work?
The metrics that you mentioned are obviously very impressive. But what truly stands out is the differentiator that we could bring out with Crystal. And that differentiator is the shift in how people behave around innovation. So, innovation is a very frightful word. When you think innovation, you think risk. When you think innovation, you think investment. When you think innovation, you think failure. When you think innovation, you are not sure of where you will end. So, there are a lot of concerns around it. So, so we will explain that in detail as we go forward. But first, uh, around the behavioral change, we are seeing a clear move from a reactive execution to proactive influence. Now, we are from the software services industry, and our delivery teams, our account teams, our customer service teams, they are no longer waiting for clients to ask what's new in a given technology, or they are no longer waiting for clients to tell as to what they want, our folks are now actually initiating into what's next for our clients, and they initiate it using Crystal's segmented radars. By segmented, I mean to say specialized radars targeted towards a particular domain or even technologies, basically. So we have a number of radars created for that. So they use these radars to spotlight emerging opportunities and risks, which are contextualized not only to our clients' domains, but also to our clients themselves. And this is what happens when you arm them with data, provide confidence, and motivate them, isn't it? So, so basically, what we are doing is that we are giving, a ready list. We are giving up an entire list of what's in it into the domain, right? And what will suit the client. So there is a new level of confidence, that comes in. Now, as a result of that, obviously, there would be a rise in what we would call it a strategic storytelling. So, Crystal, for us, is no longer perceived as just a tool. It has become a narrative engine. Teams are now actually using it to weave domain-centric, client-contextualized radars into our client conversations, proposals, business review meets, and at any opportunity, where we get an opportunity to brainstorm with the client or propose something. For instance, as an example, for a new business growth amongst both prospective clients as well as existing customers, we have used Crystal to anchor a disruptive innovation challenge within our own teams, resulting in 30% increase in pipeline conversion and 40% better aligned strategic fitment for our clients. Right? Third, again, as a side effect of this, we are seeing democratization of foresight. Obviously, as and when more and more people or more and more of our colleagues, they reach out to Crystal, there is a continuous feedback mechanism that we set. They start contributing, they feel motivated. So what we are seeing is a democratization of foresight. With the thousands of active users that you mentioned, apart from that, we have conducted 8,000 plus tech sessions, right? Or we would call it a session engagements. So Crystal is no longer for us confined to research. It is being used by delivery. It is being used by sales. It is being used by the other innovation teams. It is used by the centers of excellences, and it is also used by certain clients, some of our clients themselves, to co-create radars and roadmaps. And finally, there is a behavioral shift in how innovation is governed. So through Crystal, we have enabled what we would call it as a stage gate model, which has 3 phases: ideate, evaluate, and pipeline ready, or pipeline conversion, basically, for our internal folks. And it has also now been embedded into quite a few client engagements. So it is not just about trend scouting anymore. It is about structured innovation, which has tangible, measurable outcomes. So yes, the metrics are strong, but it's a mindset shift, the storytelling, and the strategic embedding of Crystal, what truly shows that it has become a part of our innovation DNA.
Wow, those are some pretty powerful indicators. I really like this idea of like it being this narrative engine, and also helping to democratize foresight. It's sort of what you started out saying is like sort of making innovation accessible to everyone with not only within LTIMindtree but also your clients. Sort of
Right.
demystifying it. Um, and so thank you for that, Bharat. Now I think would be a good time to see some of this in action. So, Sachin, I will hand over to you if you want to do a little walkthrough of one of your radars and show how Crystal is used day to day in your teams.
Absolutely. I'll just share my screen. So we were talking about Crystal, right? So this is our landing page of the Crystal platform, and you see this beautiful woman with a crystal ball, right? So this was the nemesis based upon which we named our platform as Crystal, because we wanted to gaze into the future, right? And there is this crystal ball concept, which was kind of aligned with overall how we wanted to look at the platform and look at the foresight. So that's a small story in terms of how we have started using or named it as a Crystal platform. So this is a single sign-on enabled, Emily, where everybody within our enterprises are available, can log in into the platform. They just need to click on login using LTIMindtree.com, and they get into the platform. So no separate user ID or password is required. It's a single sign-on enabled. And once they land onto the platform, so this is the showroom which we see. So as Bharat was mentioning, there are more than 500 plus technology and domain elements which we manage, and these are all available here. And we can either search for it, pick and choose whichever is required. Then we have an explorer view where under which all the different technology and domain radars which we have created are available, whether it is an AI technology trends radar, whether it's an agentic AI radar, it's a manufacturing AI radars. So all the different radars are available, which we can view here. So for example, if I click on manufacturing AI radar, then it gives me all the elements around that. And then we have the radar views. Then we have the radar view. So if I click on, for example, again, manufacturing AI trends radar report, then it gives me all of these radars, in terms of which elements are available, and we can zoom in and zoom out. If I click on any one of them, for example, algorithm pricing, the team actually puts together a lot of effort in entering a lot of details around that particular element or particular trend, where we talk about what this element is all about in terms of the details. What are the key application areas where this trend is applicable? What are the key takeaways for people who are reading it? Some of the featured success stories and some use cases around it. And what are the business benefits if we want to implement this particular trend in a customer environment? Uh, Another important feature, and on the right hand side, sorry, you would see various different ratings in terms of what is the adoption phase for that particular trend, in which horizon does it lie, what is the market potential, how it has been changing over the last 90 and 180 days. So this is also another important metric which we maintain from a speed of change standpoint, which basically tells us which trends are actually, are making a lot of impact across the IT landscape. Another important feature on the platform, which we absolutely love, is the signals part. Currently, for the 600 odd trends which we manage, there are almost 41 million plus signals across these different trends which we track. Through the signals, you could see the speed of change clearly visible, and I can further filter it down based upon the time duration, whether I want it for a year, or a month, or for, let's say, weeks as well. So whenever I see a big spike in any of these trends, I can actually, start researching more on that. Why there is a spike in? Is it the next S curve we are looking for, or is this the next trend which probably we should incubate? And then, if the results are good, we can look at from a outcome standpoint also. And then it gives me all the details in terms of the patterns, news, publications, and I can further filter it down. So as an end user, when I'm looking at this particular element or a particular trend, I can actually demystify myth versus reality. So which is extremely important, because if I try to search something on Google on a particular trend, then it gives me a lot of information, and there's no way we can actually authenticate whether the information is correct or not. But this is a kind of a researched area from our team, plus we get all of these good signals, which actually helps us a lot. Now, most importantly, we've recently got the Prism AI in ITONICS, and through which this is something which we are exploring, and we are very excited to use this in our day-to-day lives. So for example, if I talk about give me top 5 electronic utilities, this was the last search which I had. So it quickly goes through the whole database and gives me my exact requirement in terms of what are the key insights, what's from an immediate priority technology standpoint, what are the trends from emerging technologies from a 3-year standpoint, what it is, and so on and so forth. It can also help us to build some custom radars for our end users as well. So when we go to our customers specifically, what we do is we actually go and create a new a workspace for them. And based upon the trends which we have, either we can pick and choose among the trends we have, or we can define new trends for them. So this is a dedicated workspace which we create for them. So for example, for today's demonstration purposes, I created a new workspace called as Sachin _test. which basically is talking about some of the trends in the aviation side. And I can pick and choose, and I can then further use them to rate it and do that. Apart from that, some of these elements, right, I can duplicate as a matrix. So when we are speaking to the customers, if they want to understand out of the, so for example, 40 odd trends which are available in the dedicated workspace, I can actually look at, and I can, select from an x-axis standpoint whether I want it as a market potential, for example. Then in the y-axis, whether I would want it as need for action, or maybe ROI, or impact as well. So I can actually then, along with my council members from the customer side as well as from our side, we can actually define and decide which elements or which use cases are most relevant, and which are the first ones which we should attack to. So those are, some of the very beneficial features through which you can actually trend, and you can actually uh, do a complete end-to-end governance on each and every element, and this is done in a democratized fashion. So these are, some of the very useful features which we are using it with our customers. Apart from that, what we do, Emily, is we have our insights page within our website, which basically has all the different radars which we publish. So this becomes a single source of repository for anybody who wants to understand and who wants to see which radars we have recently published. So all of them, whether so automotive is the latest which we have launched this week. Then it's oil and gas, aviation, manufacturing, air, trends radar. So all the radar reports are available here. For each and every radar report, we basically have a microsite which is available. So in the microsite, you have an option of reading an executive summary report. So this is the report which we curate specifically for executive levels. Through this report, they can uh, look at in terms of what is the high level perspectives, what are the high level trends we want to talk about, who are the leaders who have worked on this, and all of those, we get that view. And then there's a full report also. So the full report looks kind of around a 40 to 50 pager kind of a report, where we talk about what each and every trend is. So whatever you saw on the platform basically is available there. So offline, online, if you want to read about it, you can do that as well. So each and every report, and or rather each and every radar has, this kind of a report available. Apart from that, for some of our new radars, so for example, Blueverse is a flagship platform which we have recently launched. We have curated a AI agentic radar specifically for our practitioners from a practitioner's perspective, where we are covering something more from a pattern standpoint, use cases standpoints, tool standpoint, and then each and every user can actually click on any of these and can read about that as well. And then they can zoom in, and it gives you a complete interactive view end to end, through which they can understand more about that particular element as well. So overall, every radar which you publish is very unique. It caters to that respective strategy which we decide, based upon which we build a particular radar. And we have inbuilt this embedded version into our interactive microsites as well, giving them access and giving them to play around and understand these technologies in much more detail. And these are available for everybody's consumption as well. So feel free to use them, learn from them. Any feedbacks and suggestions you have, do let us know, and we can definitely get connected. So that's the a quick demo, Emily, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks so much, Sachin. Yeah, it's always great to see behind the curtain a little bit, or in this case, maybe see into the crystal ball, to see how insights really come to life in the platform. And what I think is really nice, though, or like, and really unique about the work that you guys do, is how you're also sharing these publicly, as you've just shown, these embedded radars, because of this
Right.
added benefit that we actually, yeah, haven't touched on that deeply yet, but the like how this builds thought leadership for LTIMindtree, and really credibility that you guys are experts in these fields, um, and how this can also really help spark conversations with potential new business, which I think is a really nice aspect of this story. Um, Yeah, and of course, and maybe that brings us to also, this sort of this external impact side. So we've talked a lot about the internal impact, how it's changed some of the behavioral and cultural um, aspects within LTIMindtree, and we have, of course, touched on how it's impacted your own clients. But maybe, Bharat, you've been very close to this side of the story, and maybe you can take us through this a little bit more. If you could share an example of how Crystal has helped a client turn trends into action, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. So I can share multiple examples. My response will be a bit longish. It's very close to my heart, so you'll have to bear with my response, family. Uh, so see, our clients, they span various industries, from energy and utilities to manufacturing to banking and financial services to insurance, aviation, semiconductors, and so on. And all of our clients, they have their own individual contexts. They vary, but the challenges they face often converge around a few key themes. Now, you started this session with a poll, and your poll had a very distributed, evenly distributed, more or less response, right? And these are practical problems. I would want to tie it up back to those practical problems on how did we navigate this complexity, right? And on our external impact also. So first, there is a challenge of the complexity. Now, whether it is fragmented workflows, for example, fragmented workflows in operations or legacy integration issues, let's say in banking or any other industry, these are very standard classic issues, which you can solve in a legacy way and which you can solve in a technology assisted way. Right now, technology assisted way, of course, there will be some bit of capital expenditure that you would want to incur, but you would obviously want the operating expenditure to come down. So some of the KPIs and the KRAs would be defined in a way, right? But the challenges that they face often converge around a few themes. So one is the complexity. Now, whether you are looking too much into complexity or you underestimate the complexity is something that is a matter of concern. And secondly, modernization has always been a very wicked question, right? Modernizing ecosystems without disrupting business continuity is has was a challenge and is a challenge today. I'm not very sure on the kind of enablers that will come out tomorrow, but I would want to believe that it would continue to remain a challenge, right? So this is one part. So the complexity. The second part is there is a growing need for strategic foresight. Now, our clients are not just asking us as to what's new in the emerging tech, right? When every new emerging tech has a fair bit of hype around it, and all of the hype cannot be taken at face value. So, but our clients should be asking us, and we need to make them ask as to what's next for us, rather, not what's new in emerging tech or what are my competitors doing, right? And that's where platforms like LTIMindtree Crystal, they come in. So we help our clients visualize domain-specific trends, assess maturity, align ideas with business goals, and so on. The third is the return on investment, which remains a persistent concern. Clients want to move beyond experimental AI projects, right, and see tangible outcomes. For example, what we have done internally is our Jain AI-powered help desk solutions. They have shown a very measurable impact, and they have helped us reduce support tickets by almost 40% and improving our asset uptimes by 10 to 15%. And finally, there is a human factor. From talent transformation to ethical AI, clients are grappling with how to embed technology in a way that's inclusive, secure, future ready. Our research team plays a very pivotal role over here. So for every concern, I think today, as of today, we are equipped enough to create or to curate a radar, do a research on them, integrate the various elements that come up in the radar, right? Co-create use cases with our stakeholders, be the internal, be the clients, and help our stakeholders shape strategies that are not just reactive but visionary. So now, so having this kind of a live radar or having this kind of a live view, what has changed fundamentally, right? It has it has shifted the way we engage with clients, right? So our engagement now has matured from transactional to transformational. Earlier, the conversations began with very broad questions, right? But now, with Crystal's radar, which is updated periodically, so we will call it as live radar, we walk in with foresight. We already know what trends they are watching, our clients are watching, what technologies are gaining traction in their domain, and where the white space opportunities lie. So it's no longer about pitching solutions today. It's about co-creating possibilities. For example, during our engagement with clients, we have used tailored radars to spotlight high ROI use cases, high return on investment use cases, and map them across maturity horizons. So this allows us to move from a vague curiosity to a structured opportunity, literally in minutes. So the radar also acts as a trust accelerator. So, like the moment we start a conversation and within minutes, if a conversation is able to set a strategic, is able to set the tone for a strategic collaboration, nothing like it, right? So we have engaged our clients on various forums like these, right from modernization themes, right, to clients wanting us to explore as to what are the opportunities AI brings in for them, right, to how we can achieve a fair bit of cost takeout for them, and to optimize the use of existing assets. So we have apart from domain centric stuff, we have also engaged our clients in these kind of aspects. So there have been some major success stories with a major FMCG company where we first internalized the innovation within our own stakeholders. And then all those ideas were curated, they were put up into a radar and they were taken to the client. So the client really could not believe that it was the same team that has been serving him for years, right? And which was able to think out of the box with practical ideas, with ideas that will help protect the existing investments as well. So there are a number of stories around that, and each story has its own journey, right? So it might be difficult, but then when it comes to scaling innovation, we have been able to highlight Crystal's role into our innovation framework, especially in large deals, which is not just to impress, but to institutionalize what we call it as foresight. It becomes a part of the governance model, the delivery rhythm, the strategic narrative. So you understand it very well. Now, instead of just implementing use cases, the governance around use cases, the governance around the technologies which are used in those use cases, the governance around the processes, all of them, they will come under the ambit of a radar. So the conversation simply blows from a very narrow statement to a full-fledged engagement spanning all areas, not just technology.
Great, Bharat. Thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah, and I think that really again points out, like, gets to the heart of that topic of like how to make foresight actionable. Like, not just following what's the latest hype, but making it relevant to the business, to the strategy, to the ideas. Like, this is how you make it actionable. And yeah, and I think, yeah, this just really shows how the work that you guys are doing in Foresight in Crystal is translating into real impact. Now I know we are running very short on time, but for anyone that would like to stick around, we've got basically one short final segment on what's next for Crystal and LTIMindtree, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So it'd be great if you guys can stick around, but if people have to drop off, we will be sharing a follow-up email with everyone after this. But with that, Sachin, could you share with us a little bit about what's next for Crystal? Could we look forward to some new radar topics from you guys, or any new foresight capabilities you're excited about?
Absolutely, Emily. So just to quickly give the context, I know we are running short of time. We do have published a live internal calendar at the start of the year, and we continuously revisit it to kind of ensure that which radar topics we need to look at, how do we prioritize it, based upon some strategic alignment we have, client needs, and emerging signals we get from trend scouting. Regular reviews and stakeholder engagement, we ensure that the selected radars, remain relevant and actionable as well. So between in the next 5 months, there are roughly around 8 to 10 radars which are currently work in progress. These are some very different and new radars. So, for example, we have a quantum radar which is coming up. There is an AI radar refresh which we are looking at. There's a healthcare and life sciences radar which we are working on. The automotive radar, what recently published this week, and we also have few radars on the insurance space and others as well. So roughly around 8 to 10 radars in the next 5 months is what we are looking at. Apart from that, the platform itself has come up with Prism AI functionality. All of us are very excited to and are looking forward to use it to its full potential. It will not only help us improve and make our work much more faster, thus helping us on the efficiencies part as well. But then there are a lot of other things which will definitely help us. So that's the most exciting functionality we are all of us are looking forward from the Prism AI standpoint from ITONICS. So that's the quick brief in terms of what to expect in the next 5 months, and we are really excited on this journey. And every radar is going to be unique, and I would request everybody to explore these radars. We'll make them public, and we are more than happy to hear any feedback or suggestions they have on these particular offerings and radars which we publish.
Right. Thank you, Sachin. Yeah, we'll be sure to keep an eye on that insights page. And I know you guys also promote, we'll share every time there's a new radar published, you'll share on LinkedIn. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that brings us almost to the close of today. Thank you both for the great discussion. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. And for our audience, I hope that we've touched on some of the topics that you've been interested in already. But of course, we'd also like to open the floor to any questions you may have. And so if you haven't already done so, please feel free to drop a question in the Q&A box. I see we have a few already, so I'll just dive right in. The first one is, how is LTIMindtree defining active users within their organization? So this number I shared of 13,000. Is it people who just have access to the platform, or people who actively engage through posting, comments, viewing on the platform?
So I'll take that, Emily. This is more on the latter side where people are actively engaged through the platform. And as Bharat was mentioning as well, right? They help us and use this information for their deep insights and conversations with the customer. They also come forward and also suggest trends. We have our team basically then curates them and puts them onto the platform as well. So there's a whole process through which people can actually democratize and can also participate in the other trends identification as well.
Great, thanks. And that actually touches on the next question, which I'll read, but I think you've covered a lot of it. Anything you might want to add, though? So the question is, in terms of democratizing foresight, how do employees contribute to the horizon scanning? Is everyone in the company able to upload elements? And if so, or who does the curation of the content?
Yeah, so I'll take that up. So the curation is done by our in-house team. But then there is an active collaboration. We get inputs from the entire fraternity between our organization and also our clients. Um, so democratizing foresight, as far as the horizon scanning is concerned, we work with a core team, which consists of subject matter experts from various disciplines, from domain to technology to operations to uh, others as well. And and each of the elements is rated on a number of parameters, and later on, that's an exercise. What we do is that we average out those parameters, and it is those averaged out scores that determines as to where the element should be painted in the radar. Now, of course, people are not free of bias, but then this averaging out thing is managed in a way that there will be least amount of bias, of course, when it comes to the averaged out readings. we also pick up the subject matter experts with extreme choosiness in a way. Um, so in that sense, we know the kind of subject matter experts we are engaging, what areas are they strong in, what areas they would perhaps be weak in, what areas are they not voting for, and things like these. So we have created an entire governance process even around that, and we have groups, subgroups, and so on, who keep on contributing to the rating. Okay, that will rating of the various elements on various parameters that will contribute to the horizon scanning. Of course, anyone and everyone is free to suggest certain technology trends or business use cases. And then what we do is that we do a deep research into that and then figure out whether it deserves any merit to come into the radar or not. So that is followed by a series of conversations, debates, and that is how things happen.
And these debates are very interesting, because, for example, Bharat would say that this particular technology will be in a Horizon 1, and I would say it is in Horizon 2. Then either I'll have to bring Bharat to my side, or Bharat will have to bring me to his side, right? So those are some very interesting conversations with the council members and with the proposer as well. So it's quite exciting that way.
Right. And
And I
most
think,
of it is assisted by data in a way.
yeah,
Absolutely correct.
yeah, that's such a nice well, I think that yeah, the one thing, I mean, if one of the biggest impacts you can get out of foresight is to spark a good discussion and a debate internally, I think this is a big win. And to pull in these different perspectives. You have your tech experts, but you also have people who might maybe like closer to the frontline workers, and just different perspectives coming in from different business units. I think that's very powerful, to create like so really robust foresight, and democratizing it. So yeah, that's really nice to hear. We have another question that I will actually answer. The question is, from where is the Prism feature pulling information? Is it only from elements uploaded onto the platform, or does the AI search external sources? And so the answer to that is both. And I guess one of the things I really want to highlight about what's unique about Prism, like why Prism as opposed to ChatGPT or any other AI chatbot out there, is the fact that it's integrated into the system, obviously. So it is context aware. It understands the trends, the technologies, the elements that you have in your platform. And so you can ask questions about that. You can do maybe a gap analysis of being like, what trends have we not addressed in this radar? It can help you. It can, of course, propose new trends or technologies. It can help you evaluate or categorize them. So and it allows you to also contextualize it even further by putting in what we call a master context. So that's one of the things you can do to configure Prism upfront, is to put in information about your unique, the workspace's mission, the aims, the goals, the guardrails. So you help train it to understand your context more. But it can also search externally. And so, as Sachin shared, there's that signals database of 42 million external signals that are pulled from sort of um, patent databases, scientific publications, and sort of vetted or reputable news sources. So again, it's and this is the sort of this data lake that sits behind the signals. And it can also pull from that as well. And again, what makes it unique is that these sources are all, reputable and vetted, and it's not pulling from like Reddit, which I mean, there can be in Foresight, there can be a benefit of also, social listening, but in this case, we've made a closed data lake that is, also continuously updated in real time. So you're getting the latest insights, but you can trust them. So you really can build a good evidence chain, but you can also really understand your own context. So I hope that answers the question. And I see a hand raised. We're not able to take questions through audio, but if you want to drop your question or comment in the chat, we can get to that. But in the meantime, because we have ran very over, I will just close off today. That's our webinar on Crystal Clear Foresight, turning trends into growth. Thank you all for sticking with us through this. And you can expect a follow-up email with all the supporting materials in the coming days. And I just want to give a final big thanks again to our guests, Sachin and Bharat. You guys were great today. And also to our audience, thanks for joining. Thanks for being a great audience and asking some questions. And we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
It was a
Bye-bye.
pleasure.
Everyone.